mind, focus on getting me a Super Bowl.
Still ready for that, Tom.
And just like that, mandatory mini camps have come and gone. A really action-packed couple of weeks. What a way to whet our appetites for what will be a fantastic NFL season in 2021. Coming up, someone here is going to pick Washington to win the NFC East, even though the quarterback could, quote, turn into a pumpkin. And you can guess what Marcus Spears thinks wins that division. Probably the Cowboys. Welcome to NFL Live, everyone. Later, Josh Allen will take a step up after last season, or will he regress? We'll tell you. We've got a Bills discussion coming for Bills Mafia. Mina Kimes and Marcus Spears here. Diana Rossini joining us as well. And we begin with the Rams. So Matt Stafford has expectations through the roof in L.A., despite the fact that they may be competing in the toughest division in all of football. Sean McVay has been practically giddy during camp, talking about his quarterback and the possibilities offensively coupled with McVay's scheme. Apparently, Deshaun Jackson agrees, saying this on NFL Network about the Rams offense.
With a quarterback like, Matthew Stafford, man, it's really mind-boggling for other defenses or defensive coordinators to really be sitting back like, man, how are we going to stop these dudes, man? And, for me, I done been on some pretty good receiving cores, but, Robert and Coop, with the additions to Van and Tutu, like, man, it's going to be scary, man.
Last season, the Rams offense ranked top 10 in the NFL in yards after the catch, pass block win rate, and in rushing. But their biggest weakness was quarterback play, ranking 21st in total QBR and golf. They're hoping Matthew Stafford can be that missing puzzle piece that completes this puzzle, which, as Jackson said, could be a really scary sight for opposing defenses. Marcus, as a defender, is this Rams offense scary?
Yeah, they scary. So allow me to whet everybody's appetite, L Boogie. I don't know what that meant, but I'm going to go along with it. Okay, listen, this is the point where we start talking about teams that are going to be in competition with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And you can squarely center your eyes on the Los Angeles Rams. And yes, they should be a very scary offense. When you think about what Matt Stafford was brought in to do, it was to elevate this team to a Super Bowl. It was to create more offense. Sean McVay got termed or deemed the prodigal. He was the guy that was creativity. Him and Kyle Shanahan were the two guys. Now you have a quarterback that can get you through moments, overcome bad moments when things aren't working well. And I believe that was the knock on Jared Goff, is that when everything wasn't working perfectly is when he started to show his true colors and not be able to overcome those things. But Deshaun talked about it. With him, you got a guy that can take the top off of a defense. You got Van Jefferson, that's a big body. You still got Robert Woods, who is that jet sweep motion action. Get him the ball, make plays. And Cooper Kupp, very underrated. Cam Akers in the backfield. They should be scary.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Marcus, when they traded for Stafford, the Rams did so hoping that they could see an effect similar to what you saw in Green Bay last year with Aaron Rodgers, which is what happens when you take a Shanahan-McVay offense, which is, of course, inherently quarterback-friendly, and you drop in a quarterback who's not replacement level, who can, as you said, elevate the offense. It's no coincidence that Deshaun Jackson is excited about this, because the difference that Matt Stafford brings, aside from his second reaction ability and his creativity and the fact that he doesn't have to always play in structure, is his explosive play potential. The Rams also, in addition to all the skill players you mentioned, they drafted Tutu Atwell, who's a speedster with their first draft pick this year. This offense is going to air it out. I think it's going to be very difficult for opposing defenses in the NFC West and beyond to deal with.
All right, Marcus, let's talk. We're trying to get Diana Rossini in here, by the way, just letting you guys know what's going on. So she froze up again. We'll get her back.
Well, but, I love to talk. What's up?
Well, I know. So I got something
What's
for
up?
you. So when you think about the difference in quarterbacks, we've illustrated it very well about how this could be a step up. But there was something that Stafford was plagued with in Detroit, and it was the turnovers. So any concern, Marcus, that we see more of that in L.A.?
L Boogie, it's a direct correlation with him being in Detroit. It's called pressing. It's called feeling like you're the only one that can manufacture offense. And to Mina's point, that is the hope in Los Angeles, is that Sean McVay can ease the load that Matthew Stafford has had to carry for a long time after Calvin Johnson decided to retire because that was a different animal. He was special. That's why he's going into the Hall of Fame. Calvin Johnson I'm talking about. But the bottom line is, yes, he should be fine, and the turnover shouldn't be a problem in this scheme.
Well, he's no longer going to be relying on 50-50 balls to Kenny Galladay for like half of the production of this offense. I mentioned Rodgers earlier. A big part of the reason why the Packers offense was so successful, because LaFleur was there the year before, was that Aaron Rodgers bought into the system, and then he elevated it. And that, to me, is what Matt Stafford needs to do. He is going to see more wide open receivers this year than he has his entire career. He needs to let those plays develop, buy into McVay's system, and if he does, the Rams will profit.
All right, by the way, wet, W-H-E-T, to sharpen or to hone. And our appetite's officially whetted here on NFL Live. Lots of big stories from this week's mandatory minicamp. Let's run through a couple, starting in Seattle. Seems like all is sunshine and roses between Russell Wilson and the Seahawks front office and coaching staff, despite a tumultuous offseason where it seemed he wanted out. This is what he did at Pete Carroll's press conference this week.
What's up?
Just letting everybody know we're still friends, you know.
Hey.
Just messing with
you. Get out of here. You had your press conference.
Cringing! Nina, is all the Russ drama from the offseason a big deal?
I don't think it's a big deal this season. I've said it before. They were never trading Russell Wilson. They had no reason to. Next season might be a bit of a storyline. But no, it wasn't just Pete Carroll there. John Schneider, the GM, got in with the little peace sign. And to me, he's more important than any looming drama or issues with Russ, because he's the one who had to go and get the players that Russell Wilson wanted and potentially will be negotiating an extension with him.
Marcus, reports out of Miami were 2 this week, including the 5 interceptions at Tuesday's practice. Is that a big deal?
No, not at all. And I would love for him to get it out of his system now and try to take those chances. One thing we talked about, Tua, he's safe with the football. Well, in this league, in order to ascend, you have to take chances. So the more and more he can get comfortable and throw these picks while he's in training camp and it's not costing them anything in the win-loss column, do it now, and let's not do it when the season starts. No concern, no big deal.
No big deal. What is a big deal is all we've got coming your way on NFL Live today. We give you Marcus Spears' tiers of the top 5 D-line duos in the league. I'll give you a hint. Aaron Donald, not number 1. Wait till you see this. And we're going to talk Bengals. Joe Burrow likes how the offense is looking with the young talent, but Mina says the pressure's on in Cincy. It may not be on who you think. Keep it right here. NFL Live will be right back.
Jamar Chase, wide receiver, LSU.
I'm a beast, yeah. I'm a dog, yeah. I'm a flex, huh?
Best wide receiver because I catch the best. My routes are the cleanest.
Burrow going to launch downfield for Chase. Got it! Touchdown!
And the rest of my game speaks for itself.
I told everyone coming in, he's not going to bust. It's starting to happen. He's going to be great for us, and he's a great friend.
Baby, I'm Mr. Mo.
Hey, get this. Bengals wide receivers averaged just 2.4 yards of separation, the fewest of any wide receiver group in the NFL last season. Cincinnati's front office looked to address that right this offseason, drafting Jamar Chase in the first round. But it's another receiver that's been getting Joe Burrow's attention in camp. That's T. Higgins.
Big difference. He looks like a different guy out there. We were throwing the deep balls, and the first couple I underthrew a little bit, and I was like, geez, T, where did that come from? I didn't really expect that from him, and he's getting out of there this year. We have some horses on offense that I'm really excited about. He's going to have a big year.
Diana Rossini is here. Prayers up for technology. Diana, that's what the quarterback had to say, right? But what are you hearing out of Cincinnati?
Well, look, you don't need to really reach out to sources in that organization and to the players to hear the maturity in Joe Burrow's voice, but let's just start with that, just from the leadership aspect. We've always known that Joe has really embraced that role. And I was told that he's already taken that sophomore step already in just a year, knowing what he's dealt with. But let's talk about his injury, right? So we've heard nothing but positive news. We know that Schefter's been reporting he should be good to go by the start of the season. And really, from what I can gather in terms of information, he's going to be good to go by training camp. One of the quotes I got through text messages, Joe actually looks exactly the same as he did when he was healthy. As for the chemistry between him and Chase, because let's face it, we're all excited to see what that's going to be, what that's going to look like. It's like they were meant to play together. someone from the Bengals organization shared with me. So obviously tons of confidence. We know it's just the spring, but the fact that they're all on the same page here and nothing but positive things coming out is really just a good start for this offense that should take a step forward.
Man, that sticks out to me that somebody said Joe looks almost the same or exactly the same as he did before he got hurt. It's good to hear. They got to keep him protected, though. Marcus, how do you see this offense playing out with those horses, as Joe Burrow called them?
This is a really talented young group of skill position players. And obviously the elephant in the room is whether the offensive line will be able to protect Joe and keep him upright. But focusing on the guys that he'll be throwing the football to and even handing it off. Joe Mixon played 7 games last year, but he's a really good running back when he's in that lineup. T. Higgins went for 900 yards last year receiving, y'all. Like these they have playmakers, Tyler Boyd as well, and obviously you draft Jamar Chase. Joe Burrow should feel real good about what the potential of his skill position players are. And look, I'm gonna say it now. If the Cincinnati Bengals get this right from a lot of elements, and Mina's gonna talk about one of them, so I'm gonna leave that for her. They have a nucleus of young guys that they will be able to depend on going forward that can make plays. I believe Joe is the franchise guy for a long time. I believe these receivers can be dynamic together and even as individuals. And Joe Mixon staying healthy gives them at least a top 15 back in the NFL. So be careful about just throwing Cincinnati to the wayside and saying that, oh, it's just the Bengals. These young guys are going to have something to say about this division and this season this year.
Yeah, Marcus, I have 3, beyond Joe Burrow's health, 3 kind of big questions about the Bengals offense. One you touched on, can this line protect Joe Burrow? Another one is Zach Taylor, the head coach, I think is going to be under a great deal of pressure this season to improve the offense. That is his bread and butter. But something that occurred to me when we heard Joe Burrow talk about throwing to T. Higgins was, can the deep ball improve? Because that was the biggest weakness last season. On passes of 15 yards or less, Joe Burrow ranked 8th in QBR, 20 yards or more, 31st. And you know from watching him at LSU throwing the ball, the deep ball, to Jamar Chase, he can do it. He doesn't have the strongest arm in the world, but he's exceptionally accurate and has a keen sense of timing, which are just as important to throwing a deep ball as arm strength. So the hope, I believe, is that the selection of Jamar Chase, who will certainly boost those tight separation numbers you saw, will unlock that part of Joe Burrow's game, because that was his biggest weakness last year, and I think it's the aspect that's most likely to take a step forward this season.
Yeah, you know, if Joe Burrow starts getting hit a bunch, we're going to be talking about should they have drafted Penei Sewell. But even just seeing Jamar Chase in that practice footage, I think people forgot how great he was because he sat out last college football season. That's going to be fun to see. Next up on NFL Live, Jadeveon Clowney says Myles Garrett is a straight baller, but do they crack Marcus Spears' top 5 D-line duos in the league? Ooh, Swagoo's got a list. Stay with us to find out who he's putting there. You might have a gripe with the top, okay? Anyway, here's what we did this week. Take a look. I already can't talk today, so that's not a good sign for all of us. Here.
I mean, the only word I can come up with is stupid.
Their friendship is very similar to mine and Mina Kimes. It's very conditional.
Everybody know we're still friends, you know.
Hey. I wanted to see a big red neon sign that was going awkward. I'm
married to my wife unless anything changes. I got a job for now. That means something is probably going to change.
Breaking news. Marcus Spears and his wife are still happily married. Him being like, hey man, you just make sure you...
I wanted to let him linger there on his Peyton Manning. Oh, there it is. We're not making the show go longer because Dan would have still been talking. Oh, man. Dan's mic has gone out.
Should I not pay a bill or something?
I just can't get over Dan. Technology issues today, man. This is something cracking me up.
I did it all!
Starting to heat up.
Nobody will not outwork us today! I know you feeling my drive. I got the energy.
Pressure in his face. Aaron Donald rips him to the turf.
Aaron Donald into the backfield.
I got the energy.
There are plenty of talented pass rushing duos in the NFL. The newest combo of Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney for the Browns entering the chat. Over the last 3 seasons, Garrett and Clowney ranked 3rd and 5th, respectively, in pass rush win rate, beating their blocks in less than 2.5 seconds over 25% of the time. Here's what Clowney had to say about teaming up with Garrett in Cleveland.
It's funny. I haven't ran into many guys like that in the National Football League yet. It took me 8 years to get here to find another one like that. On defense anyways. But it's great. I just know he's going to go out there and do his thing, knowing what type of guy I'm looking at. I know he's going to ball and going to do his thing, so I'm excited about that.
Marcus, how high are your expectations for this duo?
Very high, but I'm still waiting to see if Jadeveon Clowney is going to be able to get to the quarterback and put him on the ground. Good football player, and it's always different when we're talking about Jadeveon Clowney, because when you're taking number 1 overall, quite frankly, people expect you to have 15 sacks a year. That's just where you are. And the guy opposite of him has been delivering that. But the last time we saw Jadeveon Clowney lined up next to a generational talent who was J.J. Watt at the time, that was his best seasons in the NFL. Hopefully, he can recreate some of that with Myles Garrett being opposite.
Seems like their chemistry's already there at least. The Patriots revamped their entire roster this offseason, including signing top edge rusher Matthew Judon in free agency. Here's what he had to say about the Pats pass rush. Oh, I'm going to read it for you. I'd love to say we're going to be the best pass rush, but if we don't go out and execute, we don't execute. We have guys who know how to go out and rush the passer, but first of all, I have to do my job, whatever the call is. All right, I sounded just as cool as he would have. Mina, when you think about the scheme, how does that factor in with the Pats?
I think this is a perfect fit. I mean, it already sounds like he's been there forever. Do my job, that's New England speak. But, you know, Matthew Judon benefited from playing in Baltimore. It's a very blitz-happy defense, and he got a lot of unblocked pressures. But the New England Patriots also have a very schemed-up pass rush. It's not about lining up a guy and asking him to beat double teams. It's about confusing quarterbacks. And they will undoubtedly improve from last season with the addition of Judon, the drafting Christian Barmore, Ronnie Perkins. I love Josh Uche. I'm really excited to watch this group work this season.
The Raiders look to address their defensive needs this offseason by signing defensive end Yannick Ngakoue. Just after 2 days on the job in Vegas, Yannick Ngakoue sees great things from him and his bookend edge rusher, Max Crosby. Listen to this.
I think that Max and myself are the best duo that's going to come hit the scene, and I'm already putting that out there. And I feel like the NFL has, they kind of shot away from that, and that's cool. But Max is a hard worker. He's a guy that he's putting in the work. Literally, I'm lifting weights right now. And Max is in there doing things to get better. So it's the dedication, the commitment, and I can play all day with a guy like that.
All right, high praise about himself and his teammate from Ngakoue. So that got us thinking. After we heard from him, we had to ask you, Marcus, who are the top 5 pass rush duos in the NFL right now? Start with number 5 and give us your list.
Yes, first, no shade to Yannick, but they're not in the damn list. Okay, Number 5 starts with the Arizona Cardinals. I'm going Chandler Jones and J.J. Watt. I thought this J.J. Watt acquisition was huge. Chandler Jones doesn't get enough respect in the NFL for how tremendous he is. And I know he was injured last year, but he is a premier pass rusher in the NFL. He changes games. He makes those critical type plays, and he's just a craftsman at his work and what he does. 4 in the spot. I had to put this list together, and I'm a little nervous about it from this standpoint. I don't know. Come on with the video, y'all. I don't know what Leonard Floyd is going to do, but damn it, you don't make a list without Aaron Donald being on it, and you're talking about defensive line play. So I have the LA Rams at number 4 between him and Leonard Floyd as the pair that is going to wreak havoc on opposing quarterbacks this year. Aaron Donald understands where they are. He understands the pressure that's mounting on Sean McVay. He has to, again, show the legitimacy of his stardom. 3rd, Von Miller's coming back, y'all. Ooh. And Bradley Chubb, it will be opposite of him. And I think these two guys are as pure of pass rushers as you can possibly get. They can be dominant in games. They can take over games. Reminds me of Super Bowl type tandem when it was Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware. Just the dynamics have changed. Von is the older guy. Bradley Chubb coming in as the young gun, able to get after the passer. And I know Mina loves Fangio's defense, so they'll be getting after it. Number 2, JPP and Shaq Barrett. Yes, the Super Bowl champions, but they showed and paid their dividends throughout that playoff run. We all know how dynamic JPP has been, and also physical at the point of attack too. He plays the run, people. I have a lot of respect for guys like that. And then when we get to Shaq Barrett, 3 sacks in the NFC Championship, we know what he did in the Super Bowl. He got his money, and he's a sack artist, and they play for the reigning Super Bowl champions. And one last, but absolutely not least, Montez Sweat and Chase Young. This young dynamic duo will wreak havoc on the NFL this year. Listen, you got to determine who you're going to block. And don't forget, the guys on the interior, Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen, are no top liver either. But this is the next wave of the young guns in the NFL. Chase Young, Montez Sweat, devastating to opposing offenses, especially on third down.
All right, let me just remind people what we got here. Number 5, J.J. Watt and Chandler Jones with Arizona. Number 4, Aaron Donald and Leonard Floyd with the Rams. You got Bradley Chubb and Von Miller at number 3. And then number 2 would be JPP and Shaq Barrett with the Bucks. And then you just saw Montez Sweat and Chase Young. Oh, there's the list. Thank you, guys. What do you think, Mina? Who's he missing?
Woo! Okay. Few thoughts. One, anyone could line up next to Aaron Donald and get some sacks. I could, honestly. I got a mean bull rush. Washington shouldn't be higher than the Bucks. I'm sorry. I love Montez Sweat and Chase Young. They're really fun, young duo. I think the group is excellent, but the Bucks have the best duo. To me, the pairing that I would throw into the mix, and I'm going to say this loudly because I feel like I don't give the Steelers a lot of love lately, TJ Watt and Cam Hayward. Cam Hayward is one of the most underrated defensive linemen in the NFL. And with the absence of Bud Dupree, he's going to matter that much more with this team. I'm cheating because I didn't say who I would drop out of the list, Marcus, which is not really fair. But I think Cam Hayward and TJ Watt do deserve consideration.
Oh, they absolutely had consideration. But I thought about this too, Mina. And you make a great point. How will they look without Bud Dupree? Like, how effective will they be going forward? That's something that came into my mind. I'm trying to project. And when I project on this list, Montez Sweat and Chase Young off the edge, listen, I'm with you. We could argue this until the cows come home. I had Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney thinking that. I want to see if Clowney is going to be able to get to the quarterback and get him on the ground. But right now, man, this young duo in Washington, in that defense, they devastating.
Hey, Mina, who are you dropping out of the list to add those Steelers guys in there?
Oh, maybe Leonard Floyd and Donald, just because I think Donald is the guy.
You don't make a list without Aaron Donald.
Right,
you
but you
don't
could
make
just,
a list without Aaron Donald.
You just put him on another list by himself, right? I don't know. Anyway, it's big for Leonard this year.
He's the best player in the NFL.
All right, we got more coming your way on NFL Live. Keep it right here. Yeah, you did put him at 4, Lord. More on the Washington football team. They got Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's going to be their guy for this season, but head coach Ron Rivera says, why not for him being the guy for the future? Marcus says, pump the brakes. We'll be right back.
Yeah, he can play until he's 50.
You heard Bucs GM Jason Light there back in early May talking about his quarterback playing until he's 50. Brady was asked about playing until he's 50. He told USA Today, quote, 50? That's a long time, even for me. It's a long time. I've always said 45 was the age that I wanted to reach, and that was my goal. This year I'll be 44, so next year I'll be 45. I got a 2-year contract, so I'm going to be able to play, obviously, this year. God forbid anything happens, but play next year and then see what happens after that. All right, so here's the thing. Marcus, you want to see Brady playing at 50?
Hell no, I don't want to see him playing at 50. I think if Tom Brady wins the Super Bowl this year, he's going to ride off in the sunset and let Tampa Bay do their thing. I don't think he's going to play till he's 45. You get another Super Bowl, he's going to shut it down and start selling that TB12 all over the place.
He's already selling it. Mina.
I don't even think Brady wants to play until he's 50 based on that quote. Like, I mean, even thinking about that makes me feel tired. Goodness. No, I think maybe 2 more years, and that's it.
All right, speaking of oldster quarterbacks, Ryan Fitzpatrick turns 39 this season. He's ready to try and take Washington to the next level, but is he a short-term fix, or could his tenure in Washington be a little longer than expected? You see him out there looking spry on the practice field. Head coach Ron Rivera isn't ready to commit to any sort of time frame for his new quarterback. He's a big fan. He told the Washington Post, quote, "There's nothing that says Ryan Fitzpatrick can't be the guy for a while. If this dude continues to play at the level he has, and with Brady showing everybody that these veteran guys can do it, just ask Phil Mickelson, he'll tell you, then why not? Why would we want to move on? If things go well with Ryan, why wouldn't we want to bring that guy back?" All right, I do think what Tom Brady is doing is in rarefied air. Marcus is rolling his eyes, so we'll get to that in just a minute. But Diana, first, how is Fitzpatrick viewed within the organization?
Yeah, Laura, those are beautiful June glasses that Ron Rivera is looking through right now, right? Why not? Be optimistic. So after I saw the quote, I did a little digging on it, just to find out what's the reality in Washington right now with how they view, or at least how they view Ryan Fitzpatrick. And look, I feel like this is obvious because it seems that every team that Ryan...
All right. I'm giving her a chance, but Diana is frozen, officially frozen. We'll see if we can get her back. All right, Mina, how do you see this Ryan Fitzpatrick experiment working out in Washington? Because we know there can be two extremes here.
Yeah, that's putting it lightly, Laura. I mean, if Ryan Fitzpatrick plays like he did last season in Miami, this team wins the division. I think, quite easily. Frankly, well, maybe that's a little bit too strong, actually. You know, when you give a really hard take and then you want to back off, I'm going to do that because I do love the Dallas offense.
Marcus is so stressed.
Well, I don't want to say anything I don't actually believe, but I do believe if Fitzpatrick plays like he did last year that they'll win the division because this is an offense that was held back by quarterback play last season. It's an offense that went out and improved at with their skill players. Adding Curtis Samuel, drafting Diami Brown, coupled with Terry McLaurin. I think that's a really complimentary group of players. Antonio Gibson, one of the best young backs in the NFL. My one concern for this offense is the tackle position on the offensive line. They did sign Charles Leno last with the Bears, but Ryan Fitzpatrick can really mitigate those issues potentially like he did in Miami. He actually had the second quickest time to throw in the NFL last year, behind Ben Roethlisberger, 2.38 seconds. That will really help their offensive line. I understand, again, to go back to the conditional if I put on Ryan Fitzpatrick, we have seen a lot of variance over the course of his career, so I'm not saying it's a sure thing, but if he plays like he did last year, this is a much better football team.
Oh, you're getting the eyes.
I brought paperwork.
What you
I
doing?
brought paperwork.
Okay. Let's see it.
Listen, Mina, to your point, like first let me say I agree with you on the terms of if, but that's always the question, right? Ryan Fitzpatrick's last full season was 2015. Played 9 games last year, went 4-3. It was nothing spectacular, but I think we love this guy so much that we want to see him successful. No matter what, there will be personal feelings when it comes to Ryan Fitzpatrick because I love the guy. I want him to play quarterback for my team, seeing the things that he's done. I'm just not willing, I'm not as bullish on Ryan Fitzpatrick as everybody else. It has absolutely nothing to do with the Cowboys. It has nothing to do with the Giants or the Philadelphia Eagles. The level of consistency that he's going to need to play with, he just hadn't shown that in a long time. It's been up, it's been down. We all understood the situation in Miami with them trying to get Tua involved in the offense, which could have hindered him at some point. But I'm not ready to say that Ryan Fitzpatrick is the common denominator between the Washington football team dominating this conference when we all know the best quarterback resides in Dallas, Texas.
Yeah, well, I agree with you on that, but I took a long look at the Cowboys' depth chart on defense, and that's what had me sort of wavering on my Cowboys division stance, which we can talk about later. The thing about Washington, Marcus, though, is they have the best defense. You would agree with me there. It's not close. But this was the 32nd ranked passing attack in the NFL last year. They don't need to be great, and they still won the division. They just need to be average on offense. And I think Ryan Fitzpatrick can get you average. It's going to be inconsistent. There's going to be turnovers. There's going to be stretches where he looks better than others. But I can tell you this, it's going to look better than it did last season.
Hey, Marcus, I'm going to you in a second, but let me just point something out here. I'm going to be a very poor man's Diana Rossini as we're dealing with her technology, but I wanted to add this because this is her information. It's really good here. To your point, Mina, one of Diana's pieces of reporting is that this is the stability that they needed from a quarterback standpoint on this team. Fitzpatrick provides that stability, and that's how they feel. Now, when you think about stability, you can look at that a few different ways. But, Marcus, how does that piece of information make you feel?
It doesn't change a damn thing for me. Okay, here's the thing. Here's the thing that's driving me crazy. Okay, I can see it. I can understand why people are picking the Washington football team, and some people are even picking the New York Giants because of what they did in the moves. Do we not identify what happened to the Cowboys last year? Are we just going to move all that stuff to the wayside and not even acknowledge the defense sucked because of the defensive coordinator? I don't expect them to be that bad this year, and I expect their offense to be at least top 5, top 7 in the NFL. Listen, I need to settle down. Let me calm down, Mina. Go ahead.
Vibes
Go ahead, Mina. Let me calm down.
No, I'm with you. You know how I feel about Dak Prescott. You know how I feel about these skill players. I think Dallas has a top 5 offense in the NFL. But I also think Washington has a top 5 defense in the NFL. I've said this before, and I'll say it again.
MK.
It comes down to which of the weaker units can hit average. Can the Cowboys defense